Tonight was the go-home episode of Smackdown, the final show before the Elimination Chamber. They were in Toronto, and for all the talk about how tonight would be the final night that Cody Rhodes would have a chance to speak his piece and to say something before he gives his answer to The Rock at Elimination Chamber. For all the talk all night long about how we're going to hear from Cody Rhodes for the final time, we actually heard very little from Cody Rhodes tonight. It wasn't Cody Rhodes that we heard from in that closing segment here on this show. It was The Rock, who was not there in the building live, but he was there on the big screen on the tarmac, getting ready to make his way out to Toronto. And he gifted Cody a whole bunch of things all throughout the entire show. He gave him the VIP treatment. He gave him a very nice locker room to lounge out in, all the food that you can ask for. And then when Cody came out at the very end of the show, he gave him his own truck. They drove a Ford Raptor out onto the stage, all decked out in red with the American Nightmare logo. It belongs to Cody Rhodes. And then The Rock proceeded to tell Cody that he is looking forward to seeing him at Elimination Chamber. And he knows that when he sees Cody, Cody is going to be his champion, he said. You're going to be my champion. We're going to embrace. You're going to give me your soul. Do you know why? Because Cody Rhodes, you're going to be my champion. You're going to give me your soul because we're brothers. Because I loved your daddy. Even though he's dead, I love your daddy. And you know what, Cody Rhodes? You and me, we're going to be in the ring at Elimination Chamber. You're going to be my champion. You're going to give me your soul. You know why? Because you're going to be my champion. You're going to give me your soul. I was waiting to see if Rock would at least change it up and come up with a few different ways to say the same thing over and over again. I mean, he's got a knack for that sort of thing. That was basically a reenactment, for the most part, of the promo that The Rock gave us here at the end of the show. I don't know how many times you could say the same thing over and over again in the same way without, getting your point across. I think he got his point across pretty well there. And Cody, of course, has this look on his face. He has mastered the art of the conflicted look. This look of just exasperation on his face. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do. I would think that if Cody was actually contemplating this man's offer, and he was thinking about possibly selling his soul to this man, the fact that The Rock went and printed the date that Dusty died on a weight belt might just sway Cody to the side of, hey, you know what? Go fuck yourself. I think The Rock may have overstepped his bounds here on the show tonight, as if we didn't already know what Cody's answer was going to be tomorrow night. I think after SmackDown tonight, they made that pretty clear. So that was the Cody and The Rock story. We'll get our answer tomorrow at Elimination Chamber. We also had final words on this show from 5 of the 6 men in the Elimination Chamber match tonight, or in the ring tonight. John Cena was not there. They made you think he was, though. Logan Paul came out at one point. He pulled the old Shawn Michaels in Montreal. When Bret Hart's music hit, nobody came out. And that got a good reaction. Unfortunately, the segment didn't end there. If the segment would have ended right there, I feel like it would have been perfect. But then Logan kept talking and he fucked the whole thing up. But that was the best part of the entire show. The back and forth, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins and Damian Priest, who was really the weak link in the bunch. I mean, this is where Punk shines. This is where McIntyre shines in this kind of environment. And I thought that was the best thing on the entire show. We also were supposed to have a United States Championship match tonight. It was supposed to be LA Knight challenging Shinsuke Nakamura for the U.S. title. That match did not happen. Shinsuke Nakamura, outside of a video package, was not on this show. And they blew up their plans. Earlier in the day, we found out they were having a one-night tournament to crown a number 1 contender. Even though Knight had the match, he was literally booked for a U.S. title match. They announced this on the show last week, blew the whole damn thing up, and said, you know what? We're going to have a tournament tonight, including LA Knight, to determine a number 1 contender for the United States Championship. And we got a very weak explanation as to why this was happening from Nick Aldis. It's possible, and I don't know this, but it's possible the change may have had to do with the fact that someone very close to Shinsuke Nakamura passed away just a few days ago. One of his mentors in the business, Osamu Nishimura. He passed away early 50s, died from cancer a few days ago. And he tweeted about it. Obviously, it was somebody that was, near and dear to his heart. I don't know if that had anything to do with Nakamura now being on the show tonight. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. If there was a personal reason of some kind that Nakamura couldn't be there, then it is what it is. They have 3 hours to fill, and this is what they decided they were going to do. This is what they came up with to try to replace whatever plans they had previously. They're going to have this tournament. They'll get 4 matches out of it, because we had 3 singles matches and then a triple threat match later in the show to determine a new number 1 contender. And do you know who that new number 1 contender is? The new number 1 contender for the United States Championship is the old number 1 contender for the United States Championship, LA Knight. The man who was booked to challenge for the title tonight is once again number 1 contender. So we end up right back where we started. This is what happens when you have a 3-hour show. You've got to come up with ways to kill time. And so they tried to tie in the Solo Sikoa and the Jacob Fatu stuff in there because Jacob Fatu was a part of this tournament. Obviously, he did not win. I just to go back to the Nakamura stuff for a second. And I tweeted about this earlier. I mentioned that Nishimura obviously was somebody very near and dear to Nakamura. And he tweeted about him a couple of days ago. And he said that he was like a big brother to him in many ways. He was like a big brother, right? The problem that I noticed today is that people on Twitter, they don't read. Maybe they don't know how, or they just don't put the effort in to really read what it is that people post, because there were certain accounts, and you probably know some of these accounts because they pop up, even if I'm not following them, they pop up anyway. Posting that Shinsuke Nakamura was not on the show tonight because his older brother died. I don't believe that Nakamura has any brothers, number 1, but that's not what he said in the tweet. But people ran with it. So now you have people all over X posting that, Nakamura, he wasn't on the show tonight because his brother died. His older brother died. Prayers up for Shinsuke Nakamura because his brother died. And I know I shouldn't be, because, we're talking about X. Really isn't much of a surprise here, but I'm astonished. I'm just astonished at how people, just the reading comprehension, the lack of reading comprehension. And then it just spreads like wildfire. All it takes is a couple of bigger Twitter accounts to post something, and then everybody just takes it and runs with it. When if you just read the original tweet, that's not what the man said. So, I know I shouldn't be astonished by this, but I am. I can't help it. I just can't help it. Unbelievable. Anyway, on the whole, this was a better SmackDown than we have gotten in a while. This was not nearly as laborious as many of the other SmackDown episodes have been, especially since they moved to 3 hours. I won't sit here and tell you this was a great show, but it was definitely an improvement over what we have gotten. I think as a go-home show, it was good. And we'll get into all the different reasons why, because pretty much everybody, most everybody who's featured on the card tomorrow were accounted for on this show. There was a Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens promo segment that I thought was very good. So we'll get into all that. But on the whole, I thought that this was good. This is your Friday night SmackDown review for February 28th. 2025. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. We have a brand new $27 one. In fact, I just reshuffled a few of the super chats. You can find it in the description down below. So if you want to drop it, and we've gotten a bunch of messages already that have come in, and I'm going to be reading all of them, but they are open. It is our last stream of the month. We have less than 15 minutes before the beginning of March. So let's end the month of February on a strong note. That's what I want to do. I want to end February strong. So let's see what you guys can come up with there, and then hopefully we'll do some Be the Booker a little bit later on in the stream. How's that sound? That sounds pretty good, I think, to me. All right, let's get into this show here, because Joe Tessitore, he welcomed us to SmackDown. That led into a video to open the show, recapping last week's very bizarre segment with The Rock. This is becoming a regular thing now, where these segments they're getting weirder and weirder, it feels like. But they recapped last week's segment with Cody Rhodes and The Rock, where he said he wanted Cody's soul. So they showed Cody Rhodes. He was walking backstage. A couple of men walked up behind him to guide him to his new locker room, he was told, courtesy of the final boss. He was buttering this man up as he ponders his decision. What decision is he going to make as far as The Rock's offer is concerned? In the arena, Lillian Garcia introduced Toronto's own Trish Stratus out to the ring, wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey. Not pandering or anything. Big Maple Leafs fan, I guess she is. She was tonight.
So
I want your soul.
Is that what it is?
I want your soul. JD, give me your soul. I want your soul.
Speaking of bizarre and creepy, okay, look at what The Rock has yielded here.
It's the amazing Goonthar.
This is The Rock's fault.
Jerry Lawler loves Goonthar, the Magnificent. All hail Goonthar.
This is all The Rock's fault. All this talk of souls. Natasha also coming in with a $50 super chat bomb from Natasha. Thank you, Natasha. And David. I think that was David with the he always breaks in the new ones. Thank you guys. I'm gonna read all your messages here in a little bit. We'll get into your questions. Predictions too. If you got predictions, because I'm gonna give you my final predictions for Elimination Chamber at the end. If you have predictions of your own, what do you think is gonna happen with The Rock and Cody and Punk and all that? Drop a message and we'll go through them all a little bit later on. So Trish Stratus is in the ring and she questions, what year is this? She says, we got Lillian Garcia introducing me. The Rock is back on TV. I'm going to be wrestling at Elimination Chamber. Can you believe this is her 25-year anniversary? This woman debuted 25 years ago. Still looks great, but she's out there, and it really hit me because they even put it on screen that it was the year 2000 that she made her debut, and now it's 2025. And I want to cry. Because I can't believe 25 years has gone by. But it's true. Where does the time go? I don't know, but Trish Stratus is timeless. So she points out a little girl in the crowd and said that your father probably had my poster on his wall. Oh, I'll bet there's a lot of people that had her poster. Probably a lot of people that had her poster on their ceiling as they were laying in bed looking up. Not that I'm naming names or anything. I'm just saying. I'm sure there were a lot of people like that out there. You know who else, by the way? Fun little fact here. Do you know who had a Trish Stratus? I think it might have been one of those cardboard cutouts signed by Trish, but a cardboard cutout of this woman in his room. Roman Reigns. Look for that photo online. A young Roman Reigns. He had to be maybe, 16, 17 years old. Even Roman Reigns loved him some Trish Stratus. I can't blame him. Trish said that her kids are going to get the chance to see her wrestle in person for the first time tomorrow at Elimination Chamber. And with that, she introduced the WWE Women's Champion, her tag team partner tomorrow night, Tiffany Stratton, out to the ring. Solomonster still has the poster. I might have a poster or two still laying around somewhere. It's possible. I can neither confirm nor deny. Look at you. Look at these people. Look at all you people talking about Trish, talking about posters, talking about pictures. How many of you, all you people, you probably have some of those old Raw magazines laying around. Fucking pages are stuck together. I know you. Makes me sick. So she also, Tiffany, had a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey on. It had Tiffy on the back. Trish on the back of hers, it said Trishy. So we had Trishy and Tiffy. And they took their jerseys off and they tossed them into the crowd. And then they said they would be victorious against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae on Saturday. So the Women's United States champion, Chelsea Green, made her way out with Piper Niven. Chelsea got a big reaction, of course, them being in Canada, being Canadian herself. Piper was out there cosplaying as the Mountie. Chelsea took a jab at the Maple Leafs fans by saying that, unlike team captain Austin Matthews, she actually wins. I have no idea what that means, but I assume he's obviously... he hasn't won, I guess. He hasn't won a championship. This poor guy. I don't know what he ever did to anybody, but apparently he hasn't won anything, and so they took a little dig at him. She talked about representing the people of America, said that they're better, which drew boos from the Canadian crowd. Stratton said that she's American, and Chelsea doesn't speak for her. She issued a challenge to Chelsea to a match tonight. Chelsea said, well, I got plans already. I gotta go. So Trish said, Toronto thinks that's a good idea. And if Nick Aldis thinks it's a good idea, then maybe he should send a referee out here. And Chelsea turned and she said, Nicholas, don't you dare. And then 2 seconds later, here comes, I think it was Ryan Train. Here comes a referee running down to the ring. And when they came back from the commercial break, they joined the match already in progress. It was obviously non-title. Champion against champion. Tiffany Stratton, one-on-one with Chelsea Green. They play to the Toronto fans a lot, obviously, in this opening segment. So they got the expected Pavlovian responses. Otherwise, I thought this was pretty weak. I thought this was a pretty weak open to the show. Stratton hit a double stomp, set up for the prettiest moonsault ever. Piper, though, pulled Chelsea out of the ring, and Tiffany then hit a dive out onto both heels, and she landed hard on the ground. So she basically did it. It was like a moonsault, basically. Oh, no, it wasn't a moonsault. I'm sorry, it wasn't a moonsault. It was a swanton. So she wiped out both of them with a swanton, but they didn't really catch her. So when she hit the ground, she almost honestly drove herself head first right down into the fucking ground. She was able to tuck her head at the last second, but that was a rough landing for her. She put Chelsea back in the ring and set up for the prettiest moonsault ever when Nia Jax and Candice LeRae showed up. At ringside, they attacked Trish Stratus. Tiffany reached outside. Nia, though, dragged her out of the ring to the floor. And at that point, once Nia put her hands on Tiffany, he called for the bell for the disqualification. The brawl ended up in the ring. Nia tried for the Annihilator on Trish. Tiffany, though, broke that up. And Nia headbutted her down. Trish fought back, and Tiffany helped her kick Nia out of the ring. Candice got pulled out of the ring by Nia to safety, and the babyfaces stood tall here to end the segment. So this was less of a match, more of an angle than anything else to build to the tag team match tomorrow night. Hopefully Tiffany is okay. Again, she took a rough landing there. I think she came up maybe favoring her arm a little bit. Hopefully she's fine. I was going to say, the other two didn't really catch her so much as the floor did. The floor caught her. But anyway, so that tag team match will take place tomorrow at Elimination Chamber.
Ghoul.
And
He's a Ghoulber.
That match at WrestleMania. Fucking Ghoulberg.
Ghoulberg. Since we're talking about souls, he won't be at Elimination Chamber tomorrow.
Have the best moveset.
And he definitely does not have the best moveset. Goldberg will not be. Maybe Goldberg will sell his soul. I mean, after all, Goldberg was The Rock's accountant at one point, right? When he debuted, remember the night he debuted on Raw, right? I mean, he used to do The Rock's taxes, so maybe he'll become The Rock's corporate champion, right? That one last run, he feels like he has to get his hands on gold again. Yeah, I don't need to see that either. We go backstage. Solo Sikoa finds Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. And Fatu tells him, he goes, what happened last week was an accident. It's when he accidentally took out Solo. Solo said, yeah, an accident. Fatu said he heard Solo had a qualifying match tonight in the U.S. title tournament. And Solo said, I do. And we need to make a statement. And it starts with them taking the United States Championship. And to show how much he loves Jacob Fatu, it's not going to be him going in there challenging for the U.S. title. It's going to be Jacob. He's gifting his spot in this tournament to Jacob Fatu. Says he wants him to run the play and represent the family. And he made it clear to him that he's doing everything for Fatu because he loves him. I love you, Jacob. You'll notice, though, Jacob no longer says, I love you, Solo. Solo's the one telling him, I love you. And then Jacob just stares at him and then walks off. And that's what he did here. Because he had a match to go get ready for. But no more I love you, Solo. That stuff is over. 10 pounds of ghoul. I like that. That's going to be his storyline for the year. Goldberg is trying to pick up 10 pounds of ghoul. Is it gabagool? You get 10 pounds of gabagool from the market. It's pretty good stuff, right? You don't want to run out of gabagool. Cody Rhodes was shown in his fancy locker room furnished by the final boss, and there was just food all over, like a smorgasbord. He had a fucking, what was it, sushi platter was all laid out there on the table. All kinds of fancy food, fancy feast. It was all laid out there. It was huge, like a wall of wine bottles on display. He also, he didn't spot R-Truth, who was sitting behind him on the couch, lounging out with a plate of food, enjoying himself. Truth asked him about the new digs, and Cody said, well, I guess that's what you get when you consider selling your soul to The Rock. Truth said that The Rock is the soul man. And he talked about how he used to watch him when he used to team up with Tony Atlas. He also told Cody not to be shellfish. And Cody told him, go ahead and help yourself to all this food. Don't be shellfish. Truth has the jokes. You know, shellfish is what Bill Eadie had many years ago when he got very sick. Went into anaphylactic shock. His heart stopped. He was having shellfish and he was having sushi. And he loved having it. And he had so much of it, I guess, that it had built up this toxicity, like a toxic level of iodine in his body, which is what caused the reaction that he had. Because a lot of people think that the reason that he stopped wrestling for a while and they brought in Crush and Demolition became a trios, he had like a heart attack. He had an allergic reaction. He had too much shellfish and sushi, and he built up all this toxicity in his body, and his fucking heart stopped. That's why we ended up with Crush as part of Demolition. You see, if you didn't know, now you know. You know, I hope if they go into the Hall of Fame this year, they call on me. I would love to give the Hall of Fame speech. I'll give them the induction. We had Andrade one-on-one with Jacob Fatu, our first of several matches in this United States Championship #1 contenders tournament here tonight. Loud Fatu chants from the crowd to kick things off. The action spilled outside early. Andrade hit a moonsault onto Fatu, but he hit it over the ring post. And the camera got a great shot of it too, because the camera was, I think the cameraman was in the crowd, like in the front row. But he was right there. And Andrade, he, like, as he over-rotated, he crashed, like, back first, crashed right into the barricade, probably knocked the wind out of himself. And that took us into a commercial break. Show came back. Fatu took a poison Rana. Both men ended up down. Andrade set up for the double knees in the corner, but Fatu just flung his body at Andrade and took him out. So now we got even more Fatu chants from the crowd. Fatu went for a running hip attack. Andrade moved. He did finally connect with the running double knees. He followed that up with a double jump moonsault for a nice near fall. Of course, Andrade always misses the first one, lands on his feet, hits the second one, never wins with it. Andrade set up for his finish. Fatu countered out of it, and then he followed up with a pair of running hip attacks. He hit this great-looking Impaler DDT. And then came the jump-up moonsault, and he covered Andrade for the win as the fans counted along, and they gave him a huge cheer when this was over. You would never know that Jacob Fatu was part of this bloodline faction. The way people cheer for this guy, I mean, they're just waiting. They're waiting for this guy to just bust out. on his own. Very good match here. Fans treated Fatu like a total babyface. I mean, you could feel it with each passing week. You hear it, you feel it, these reactions, these chants. As far as Andrade, right now it feels like he's just in the position of the guy who goes out there, has a great match, and puts somebody else over. All he really needs is a direction and a manager. I really think he needs a manager. Because he could do some talking on his own, but he doesn't really get the chance to do a lot of talking. But I feel like having that person, and it doesn't really matter who it is. I mean, look, I would love to see them put Zelina Vega and him back together, right? Zelina can still wrestle and do her thing, but they made a great pairing in NXT, but it could be anybody, male, female. I just feel having somebody on the show, as a character to advocate for him would help him instead of it just being Andrade, who rarely gets any time to speak anyway, right? He goes out there and has very good matches, but this is all you end up with. I think that's the missing ingredient to, I don't even want to say get him to the next level, because I feel the level he's at now is about as high as he's going to go. But at least to get him more consistently on TV, maybe get back in the win column, I think that's the missing ingredient for him. We had footage from earlier today that aired of the Street Profits talking to Nick Aldis. And the Profits said they're not going to stop doing what they're doing, right? They've been attacking people, said they're not going to stop until they get a tag team championship match. So Legado del Fantasma showed up. Santos Escobar wanted an apology for the Profits, falsely accusing them of attacking the Profits a few months ago. Dawkins said, we're not going to apologize for anything. Escobar said, well, that's great, because now we can wrestle. And Aldis made the match, the Profits against Los Garza, for the show tonight. So the Profits were making their entrance for the match when Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, they attacked from behind Los Garza. They were already in the ring for the match, so they got in on things, and the Profits, then they bounce back. They start stomping a mud hole in DIY. Pretty Deadly, here they come. They run down to the ring. They attack the Street Profits. Gargano and Ciampa, they made a comeback, and they attacked Pretty Deadly. That brought out the Motor City Machine Guns, and they worked over Gargano and Ciampa. Big schmoz going on here with all the different teams here on SmackDown. We got a Motor City Machine Gun, Street Profits face off in the ring. Los Garza and Pretty Deadly, though, they cut both teams off. Everybody was brawling, and eventually the Machine Guns and the Profits, they got their hands on each other. It was very brief. So they had, the officials were out there, right? The officials are in the ring, and they're not really doing a whole hell of a lot to intervene and get in between these guys. I mean, they did after a while, but at first they weren't really doing much of anything. So we had various brawls breaking out until the show cut away. Cut to Drew McIntyre walking in the back, which, before I get into that, you could see, they took all of their tag teams here, put them in one segment, and everybody is pissed off at everybody else, which I think is great. I like that. I want everybody to show some attitude, right? Including Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly's always out there with the disco ball, and they're dancing, and they're talking about their fucking Broadway show or whatever. It's good to show a harder edge, right? Everybody is angry with everybody else. Got the Machine Guns, you got the Street Profits, you got Los Garza, you got Pretty Deadly. Probably got a couple of other teams as well that you could throw in there if you wanted to. And so you could have a nice mix of kind of different matches. It still feels to me like this is all just building to one, giant match where they just take all the teams and they just throw them in the ring, probably put a ladder in the ring, and, let them go at it for the tag team titles. It still feels to me like that's probably the WrestleMania match. We still have 2 months before WrestleMania. I don't know how they bridge that gap, but that's what it feels like. They're just going to take them all and kind of put them all together. That's what this is leading to. The Street Profits, though, are definitely, obviously acting more heelish right now. I think they still came out to their regular theme music. If they're going to go full on heel, they'll have to update that. They'll need new music. I don't know if they're going full heel with them, but I'm in favor of the harder edge, instead of just doing the same old shtick. You got to change it up a little bit. That I like. But it still feels to me like this is all just building to just shoving them all in the ring together. If the Street Profits don't come out of this with the tag team titles, I don't know where they go from here. There is nowhere else for them to go. They have already played up the idea that they have not been tag team champions in over 4 years. 4 years. Every opportunity we have seen them get, they have lost. They've been screwed or they've lost. And now if they're going to get another crack at those tag team titles and they walk away losers, there is nowhere else for them to go. Raw? Okay, well, who's to say the same thing isn't going to happen on Raw? So however this ends, whenever this ends, wherever this ends, the end result should be the Street Profits finally winning the tag team titles. It's the only outcome. I mentioned Drew McIntyre. They cut to him, and he was walking in the back. He crossed paths with Cody Rhodes. Said that Cody's decision with The Rock could change his life and his family's life for generations. Hulk Hogan has appeared.
You suck.
Tough crowd. They don't like this guy very much. Hey, David, thank you. Thank you for the 23. Poor guy. McIntyre said that he didn't know what he would do if he was in Cody's position. He recalled the two of them being so low on the card when they were younger, right? Many years ago. And at the time, they were willing to do anything to get to the top. McIntyre said that it was telling that Cody didn't immediately reply to The Rock. He said that he doesn't know what Rock is going to do when Cody says yes. And then The Rock finds out that Cody sold his soul a long time ago. And off he went. Then came the best segment on the entire show. That is definitely not the best segment on the entire show. But it is Eminem. It is Eminem. The $25 Brie mode.
You suck.
This guy can't catch a break. Thank you, Kingnator. Hey, we're 8 out of 10. Look at that. 8 out of 10 in our goal in the chat. That's pretty awesome. But let's talk about the best thing on the entire show. It started with a John Cena vignette talking about him going to the Elimination Chamber. Right? As soon as he lost the Royal Rumble that night at the presser, he didn't answer any questions. He sat down. He cut this like 4-minute serious, impassioned promo about how I have to go to the Elimination Chamber and win because that is what's best for business. Me getting number 17 is what's best for business, right? And then it's going into various Cena highlights. Well, in the middle of this video package, we hear Drew McIntyre's voice. And he's got a mic and he's walking through the crowd. And he's telling the guys in the truck, he says, Lee, right? Lee Fitting, you better cut that shit. Cut it. So they cut in the middle of the video package. And we see McIntyre in the crowd. Called Cena a hypocrite. He ends up standing on top of the announce desk, and he calls everybody out for not talking about John Cena over the past handful of weeks. He then sits down on top of the announce desk, cross-legged, a la CM Punk. Says that Cena only comes back for ego trips, and he mocked what John Cena from 2010, 2011 would think. What would that John Cena have to say about the John Cena of today if he could see this John Cena? And he called him out for his bald spot being so big that it needs its own zip code. He goes, that's not me talking. That's the old John Cena talking. That's what he would say. McIntyre said that he will bury Cena at the Elimination Chamber. He's going to bury him the way that he buried the Nexus. So he keeps on going, and he brings up getting screwed over at WrestleMania last year. And that brings out Damian Priest, the man who did the screwing. Priest says he gets in the ring, right? McIntyre is still sitting on the announce desk. And Priest says that all Drew does is complain. The people see through his lies. R-Truth makes more sense than McIntyre does. Priest talked about how because Drew had a weird obsession with Punk, which McIntyre denied, said, I don't have any obsession with this man. And this drew a very funny exasperated response from Damian Priest, who pointed out, look at you right now. Look at the way you're sitting on top of the announce desk. You're going to tell me that you don't have an obsession with CM Punk. So Drew said that he drops the pipe bombs now. Priest said that he once dropped McIntyre in this arena that we were in, and he would do it again if Drew just stepped through these ropes. So before he could, Seth Rollins' music hits. And Seth walks out wearing another one of his goofy outfits. He's in this goofy red outfit. He looks like the Kool-Aid Man. Here he comes, okay? He's on his way down to the ring. And Rollins said, he gets in the ring. He says, I wanted to join this party, right? As Priest and McIntyre were talking about the Elimination Chamber. He called McIntyre's Money in the Bank cash-in the worst cash-in of all time. Baron Corbin says, hi, by the way. And said that it won't be the same Seth Rollins that hobbled into WrestleMania last year. Rollins said that nobody stands a chance against him in the chamber, and that brought out CM Punk. He comes out. He didn't get in the ring, but he came to ringside and he stood over by the barricade. And McIntyre, again, still sitting on top of the announce desk. So we get loud CM Punk chants. Punk started with Seth Rollins. I think Rollins made a comment. I think what triggered it is Rollins had made a comment about how he's feeling as good as he looks. I think is something to that effect. And this is so stupid. So Punk had the line of the night. CM Punk had the line of the night here in this pro. I legitimately laughed out loud when he said this, and you'll see why in a second. He said, Seth Rollins looks like an oven mitt. Now take a look at that and tell me that Seth Rollins does not look like a fucking oven mitt in this photo. It's exactly what he looks like. I said the Kool-Aid Man, but you know what? An oven mitt, I think that works even better. Said you look like an oven mitt. I cooked you on January 6th, and I'm going to cook you again in the chamber. Punk said he has no personal issue with Damian Priest, but Priest could be collateral damage in the chamber. And he said that Drew and Seth are obsessed with him, but Punk is obsessed with having his WrestleMania main event. And if he's got to beat all of them tomorrow, then that's what he's going to do. And on top of all this, he says someone is buying souls. So Punk said now someone is buying souls. He said someone had the audacity to ask him if he would sell his soul. And interestingly, Punk didn't say one way or the other whether or not he would sell his soul. He kind of quickly moved on. He said McIntyre no longer has one to sell because he snatched it from him inside Hell in a Cell back in October. Punk said that he would understand if any of them wake up on Saturday morning and decide that they don't want to show up. Just like John Cena on his retirement tour, who never shows up. Punk said, this is about me. This is not about any of you. This is about me. Okay? It's not about this guy. It's not about the giant fucking oven mitt. It's about CM Punk. I can't get over that. He looks ridiculous. I mean, I say this every week. He looks ridiculous. I guess that's the point. But I mean, he just looks completely ridiculous. How could anybody cheer for this? At least when Randy Savage came out, to be fair, let's not pretend that Macho Man Randy Savage didn't wear ridiculous outfits either, right? He'd wear a hat sometimes that had a giant feather sticking out of it. He'd wear all these colorful outfits, but he was cool, right? He had a cool factor. There's no cool factor when Seth Rollins walks out there. When he walks out there wearing moon boots, or when he walks out there looking like this, when he walks out there looking like he's wearing a raincoat or a garbage bag over his body, there's nothing cool about Seth Rollins. Rollins said that Punk is not going to main event WrestleMania. Over my dead body, you'll main event WrestleMania. He said, and if it's not me, Rollins said, if I don't win, it damn sure isn't going to be you. He's going to make sure, he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that even if he himself does not win this chamber match, that CM Punk is not going to win either. So Priest, actually McIntyre made a comment about how Punk is overdue for an injury. Priest tells Drew to shut up. All he's going to do is complain on the internet after the match. Seth says that the CM Punk chants will die tomorrow, along with Punk's WrestleMania dreams. And then we hear John Cena's music. And John Cena's music hits and everybody goes crazy. The building, everybody rises to their feet and everybody in the building explodes. But instead of John Cena, we get Logan Paul, who walks out on stage and gets nuclear heat. Once people realize what just happened, nuclear heat for Logan Paul for the fake out. And this, honestly, this right here is where this segment should have just ended. Because this is where the good part of the segment came to an end, as far as I'm concerned. He said Cena can't show up because he's a classic celebrity wrestler, which was mildly amusing coming from him. I guess that was the point. He called out Punk and then turned to Rollins and called him the peacock of WWE. Nothing was going to top the oven mitt dig. He called him the peacock of WWE. He said Rollins looked like he was wearing curtains. He turned to Drew and said that you can't win a championship just like the Toronto Maple Leafs can't win one, getting the cheap heat. Paul said he honestly doesn't know much about Damian Priest and called him irrelevant. Turned back to Punk and talked about how he slapped Punk on Monday and asked him how his jaw was. Yeah, I'm going through all of these digs and all these insults, but it was weird because I don't know if he lost his train of thought. I don't know if he was looking, because he was all the way on stage. I don't know if he was like looking to see if he can see where everybody was. This, normally Logan Paul, like his promos are good. This felt like, I don't know if he just lost himself or he was almost like, it was like dragging it out. It didn't come off well. That's why I made the comment that like, if it would have just ended with the fake out, with the Cena music, and he would have just, smiled and then left, that would have been fine. But this just kind of dragged on. But he said, he asked Punk, how's your jaw after Monday? And Punk said, well, let me come show you. And he started to make his way down the aisle. Logan Paul fled backstage to end the segment. So Toronto did not get John Cena tonight. They will get him, though, tomorrow at the Rogers Center. This was great. This was very entertaining until, again, we got to the tail end of the segment. That was the weakest part of the entire thing. I got a kick out of the Cena fake out. Like I said, he got great heat for it, but once he started speaking, that's where this thing died. Punk and McIntyre, they were the standouts here, which is no surprise. I mean, if you followed them last year throughout their feud, or, we got some segments last year, the one before WrestleMania, there was that segment where we had Punk, we had McIntyre, right? We had Rollins, I believe, was in that segment as well. And that was one of the best television segments of the year heading into WrestleMania. That was the one where Punk made the dig at McIntyre. Who's that guy the guy who called you the chosen one? Yeah, the paragon of virtue. Who was that guy? And McIntyre was sitting on the announce desk and he just bit his lip. Like he wouldn't say anything. It's funny because McIntyre did an interview recently. I don't know if he brought it up or the person interviewing him brought that segment up. And he said he had a great comeback, but he held back for the sake of the company because he didn't want to kind of, drag out the whole Vince McMahon play on words thing. So he didn't say anything. But what he was going to come back at Punk with was, oh, it's the same guy who fired you on your wedding day. But he said he thought better of it. He left it alone. He didn't say it. That really was one of the best television segments all year last year. So Punk and McIntyre, they were the standouts here. Rollins, of course, Seth Rollins literally stood out because he's out there looking like a fucking crab. So, of course, he stood out. But Punk was the MVP of this segment. He was in the zone here. Priest was outclassed. He got a couple of digs in, but he was, kind of a little timid compared to the other guys. He's not used to being in this whole back and forth type thing with these guys. So, he did okay, but Punk was really the MVP of the segment. Short of doing what they did with the women later in the show, which was take most of the women who were in the Elimination Chamber tomorrow and putting them in a 6-person tag, I don't know what else they could have done to really give this chamber match one last jolt other than what they did here. So I thought what they did here was great. This is where Punk thrives in these types of segments. Again, interesting how when he brought up that somebody asked him if he would be willing to sell his soul, he didn't say yes or no. He just quickly moved on. Just planting the seeds just to get you thinking. Doesn't mean that he's going to, but they certainly are sort of pushing you in the direction of, well, maybe he will. I also think we need to take note of what Seth Rollins said, because there's a few reasons why I'm going with John Cena to win the Elimination Chamber. Not to get ahead of myself with my predictions, but I do still stick with that. I think Cena's going to win. This only really reinforced that for me, because Rollins was adamant in this segment to the point where he even said, if I don't win, I promise you are not going to win. Like, if I don't win, as long as you don't win, I'm okay. Like, he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that CM Punk does not win this match tomorrow. So even if Rollins gets bounced, you know, either he's not going to leave and he's going to attack Punk, or he'll come back in some way. I think that's going to play into why CM Punk doesn't win tomorrow. It may have to do with Rollins. We may yet end up with CM Punk and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns in that triple threat. That was the match that everybody was talking about coming out of the Royal Rumble. People haven't really been talking about it as much recently. We may yet get that match. Who's to say that that still isn't going to be the match at WrestleMania? But as adamant as Rollins was about the fact that Punk is not going to win tomorrow, makes me think he's going to play a role in Punk being eliminated from that chamber match. But this was great stuff here. We had LA Knight one-on-one with Santos Escobar, another United States Championship #1 contenders tournament match. Knight went for his jump-up elbow drop early in the match. Escobar moved and found his way to the outside, where Knight went for his sliding drop kick. Escobar moved out of the way. He threw Knight into the ring steps, and that took us into the commercial break. Later on, Knight set up for the BFT. Escobar countered out of it. He placed Knight on top, and he hit a super Rana from the top rope. Fucking looked great. I mean, he sent Knight fucking halfway across the ring with this thing. Only got a near fall out of it. Escobar went back to the top. He dove off at Knight, but on the way down, Knight caught him out of midair with a BFT. And he pinned him to advance to the triple threat later in the show. I thought the finish was very cool. Very interesting. When the match was over, Escobar rolls out of the ring, doesn't even sell the BFT. As Knight is celebrating in the ring, you just see him, he gets up, and he walks to the back. Didn't lay down, wasn't laying on the outside. He just got up, no-sold it, and walked to the back like he was just done with it all. Which honestly, I mean, I can't get in the man's head, so I don't know for sure. I don't want to read too much into it, but as I'm watching Knight celebrate, it was very noticeable that he just stood up and walked off in the way that he did. I can understand it, though, if he is. I'm sure he is on some level. He is frustrated because he can't be completely happy with the position that he's in, with the position that Legado is in. Legado is getting television time, right? But someone like him who's super talented, right? You have to think that he would have hoped to have been in a better position, right, than the one that he is in right now. Because he is a very talented guy. But it also feels like he's just sort of spinning his wheels. Nothing ever really changes for him or Legado. He's another one of these guys like Andrade who goes out there and probably 10 times out of 10, you know why he's out there. He's out there to lose. And after a while, if there's no kind of upward mobility there, you get frustrated. It's the natural reaction. So I don't know if that's what we saw here, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was. It was just something that was very noticeable to me when the match was over. Sami Zayn was out to the ring next to address the audience one last time before his unsanctioned match with Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber tomorrow. Sami said that it would be an understatement to say that he and Kevin have been through a lot together, and he knows for a fact that Owens is in Toronto tonight, and he invited him out to the ring to stand in front of all of their fellow countrymen, say his final piece. Suddenly, we could hear Kevin Owens' voice. We couldn't see him. But then on the big screen, we see him standing in the ring in an empty arena. He's in the Rogers Center, which is where Elimination Chamber is being held tomorrow. The Rogers Center, of course, being the former Sky Dome in Toronto. Owens said tomorrow night is going to be the biggest match the two of them have ever had together. And he said that he's not the bad guy in this. Everybody thinks he's the bad guy. He's not the bad guy. Everything that happens to Sami on Saturday is going to be something that Sami deserves. And Owens said that after Saturday, when Sami is stuck in a wheelchair, he's going to need to know that Owens is not going to help his family. Owens is going to watch his family suffer. So Sami said, I've been nervous all week. But I'm not nervous about what might happen to me. I'm more nervous about what I'm going to do to Kevin Owens. He said he's nervous that Owens' parents and his wife and his kids are not going to be able to forgive him after their match. He said if they don't forgive him, he can live with that because he's prepared to end Owens. And Owens said that he would see Sami tomorrow night. He kind of pushed the camera away, and that was the end of the segment. I think that their mic work, because we haven't gotten anything after that package pile driver a few weeks ago. We have not gotten any physicality between these two. They have kept them apart wisely, right? Save it for the unsanctioned match. So they did the package pile driver angle from Raw a few weeks ago. And there were people who were like, oh, well, they must be doing it at WrestleMania because there's no way that Sami could be back this quickly. And I told you, I said, Cody Rhodes took a package pile driver and he was back on TV in 2 weeks. Like, we're not going to have to wait that long. And sure enough, I don't even know that it took that long. And we saw Sami back on TV. Since then, we've had the video promos from Kevin Owens and the one where he was outside Sami's house, kind of peeking through the window. We had that promo from Sami the other night. We had this segment here. I think they've done a very good job of conveying the kind of the personal nature of this. Like, these two guys have been best friends. They've been bitter enemies, but it's never risen to this level, right? Where you're kind of bringing family into it, or you're dropping me on my head in a way where you're trying to paralyze me and make it so that I can't do what I do for a living and support my family anymore. They have made this very personal. And both these guys, but I feel like Sami in that segment on Raw the other night where he was interviewed with Jackie Redmond, they did the sit-down interview. Like, you could read it on his face and his eyes were kind of like, not bloodshot, but you could tell like they were red, like he was about to cry. They've done a very good job with this. And now they're going to have an unsanctioned match tomorrow. There's no telling what these two are going to do to each other. They're going to try to fucking murder each other tomorrow, especially given the stipulation. And they're in Canada, and they're at the fucking Sky Dome. So it should be great. But I think the build up to this has been very good. I think it's been well done. And now we just have to get the payoff. And we'll find out tomorrow if this really is going to be the blow off, or if they're going to try to extend this and potentially drag this out all the way to Las Vegas. Now, in the back, The Miz was with Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes was getting warmed up for his match coming up with Braun Strowman. And The Miz mentioned their team name again. He mentioned Mello Don't Miz. And then what was the other thing that he said here? He said that, oh God, Mello has his expression. Oh God. What was the other thing that Miz said? I meant to write it down. I don't know. It was some stupid play on word. Oh, because Hayes says that I am him. He is him. And so Miz had some kind of play on word. It's goofy shit. So he told Miz to stay backstage because Miz was going to go out with him for his match with Braun Strowman. I don't need you. You could stay back here. So he left, and Cody walks into frame. And Miz asked Cody, like, what are you going to do at Elimination Chamber tomorrow? Cody says, he has no idea. Miz said, look, I'm from Hollywood. The Rock, he owns Hollywood. And he goes, look, feel my hand. Papa Tui. And I'm like, what? The fuck does that mean? So I looked it up. I didn't realize that Rock has his own line of skincare products called Papa Tui. It's all kinds of like conditioner and lotions and shit. I didn't know anything about this. Because at first he said this and I'm like, what? What did he say? Papa Tui? I have to look this up. I'm like, he has more fucking products. He's already got Terramana. He owns a football league. He's making movies. He's asking for people's souls. Now he's got his own line of skincare products. Is there nothing this man won't slap his name on? So anyway, he's putting over The Rock and what a big deal it would be. Man, The Rock can do all these different things for you. And says, the audience doesn't get it because they see Cody as the face of WWE, but they both know there's so much more that Cody can accomplish. And he said the only way Cody can get it is if he takes The Rock's offer. And Miz then introduced the idea, the possibility that if Cody doesn't, then somebody else could take The Rock's offer instead. So this led into Cody Rhodes. Carmelo Hayes. Cody Rhodes was not in the United States Championship tournament, for the record. Irens, I'm happy to answer your question. He says, what did The Rock want Cody to be again? I didn't hear him the first 1,053 times. I believe he said he wanted him to be his champion, but I could be mistaken. It wasn't clear to me in that final segment exactly what Rock wanted. Why do all of his products sound like phrases from Pootie Tang? I'm sorry to say I didn't see that movie. So Carmelo Hayes against Braun Strowman. Another match in the number 1 contenders tournament. Strowman threw Melo around he was just flinging him. He was beeling him around the ring here to start things out. Melo rolled out to the floor, and you know what that means. Braun Strowman saw him on the outside. Braun Strowman exits the ring. Braun Strowman runs around the ring. Stay off the track, folks. Stay off the tracks, because guess what? The Strowman Express back in service tonight. He comes barreling through Carmelo Hayes. He shoulder blocks this guy, knocks him inside out. Here comes Tama Tonga. He runs down to the ring, and he distracts the referee. Solo Sikoa, meanwhile, on the outside of the ring on the other side by the announcers where Strowman is standing, hits Strowman in the back with a steel chair. He no-sells it. And he turns and he sees, Solo. So he attacks Solo Sikoa. Strowman then ends up attacking Tama Tonga, and he throws him over the announce desk. He slides the chair into the ring for some reason. Like, he wasn't even looking. He just kind of slides it into the ring, and I'm like, okay. Clearly, this is going to come back to bite this guy in the ass. I don't know why he would have done that, because he slid it into the ring and was still focused on what was going on outside the ring. So back inside, of course, Melo picks up the chair. The referee's back is turned, right? He's looking outside, telling the bloodline, get out of here. So the referee doesn't see any of this. He picks up the chair. He does the Eddie Guerrero spot. As soon as Braun gets back into the ring, he smacks the mat with the chair, tosses it to Strowman, who catches it, and then he lays down on the mat. And as soon as he does that, the referee turns around, and what does he see? He sees Braun Strowman standing there with a steel chair in his hand. And he calls for the disqualification. Even though he didn't see it, he calls for the disqualification. So this angered Strowman, who went outside. He grabbed Tama Tonga. He threw him into the ring. He gave him a power bomb, which Joe Tessitore called a power slam. The match itself did not even go 90 seconds. And look, a win is a win. It's another win for Carmelo Hayes. He's racked up a few of them recently. I can't think of a weaker way for him to win, although he used the old Eddie Guerrero spot, which is cool, as long as they don't abuse it and do it all the time. I honestly, when this was over, I thought, okay, this is setting up Braun Strowman to interfere in the match later in the show, in the triple threat match, and he is going to cost Jacob Fatu, right? Because you're not going to pin Jacob Fatu. Obviously, Carmelo Hayes is going to be taking the fucking pin in the main event. But I thought for sure Strowman was going to come back out, get revenge on the bloodline for this, but it was going to bite Jacob on the ass. And that would just further the tension between Jacob and Solo, because I'm sure Jacob didn't tell Solo, hey, I need your help. Go out there and make sure Braun doesn't make it to the finals, right? Maybe Solo did that on his own. Braun comes out later, costs Jacob. That's all Solo's fault. He's mad at me because of something that you did. I thought that was the direction that this was going in. They didn't do that. So that surprised me. They went in a different direction with that. But otherwise, it was an angle. Again, not even 90 seconds. I can't say anything about the match because it wasn't much of one. All right, everybody wave goodbye to the Strowman Express. Goodbye. There he goes. Off he goes. We don't get to see him very often, but when he shows up, he's always very colorful. Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Bayley were backstage talking about their upcoming match. And they agreed to take care of business tonight. Bianca said that may the best woman win in the Elimination Chamber tomorrow if it comes down to them. And then she followed that up by saying, because I'm going to WrestleMania. And Bianca began to strut away. Bayley playfully grabbed her ponytail and said, me too. And then Naomi did the same. Boy, I'm so happy that everybody is so jolly here in this segment. You know, I could have sworn I just watched Monday Night Raw the other night where Bianca Belair and Naomi lost the women's tag team titles. For a couple of women who just lost their championships, they sure were very chipper here in this segment. They were all smiles. You would never know that they just lost their titles the other night. Can't imagine why nobody gives a shit about these belts. If they don't give a shit, why should we? Can you at least pretend to be a little upset about what happened the other night? It wasn't even a week ago. The body is still warm. Apparently not. So we had 5 of the 6 women in tomorrow's Elimination Chamber match in a 6-woman tag team match. Bayley, Bianca Belair, and Naomi taking on Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, who is not in the chamber tomorrow, and Roxanne Perez. So the only one missing here from this match who is in the chamber was Alexa Bliss. Morgan rolled to the outside early. Bayley tagged in, hit a dive out onto Morgan, and then she did the same thing to Roxanne. Dove out on the opposite side of the ring and wiped her out. Same to Raquel. That took us into a commercial break. Roxanne tagged herself in a little while later while Raquel was on offense, and Raquel was not happy about that. A little while later, Naomi and Raquel, they tumbled out to the floor together. Bayley avoided pop rocks. Roxanne avoided the Bayley to belly suplex and came right back with pop rocks. This time she hit it, and she pinned Bayley to win it for the heels. So after the match, Perez is looking up at the WrestleMania sign. There it is. I'll point it out so it's clear to you guys. Solomonster's going to WrestleMania, bitch. There it is, right there. So she's looking up at the WrestleMania sign when Alexa Bliss, it's like she rises from the dead. She rose up. She rose up from behind Roxanne, who didn't see her, grabbed Roxanne, and delivered Sister Abigail and laid her out with it. And they also flash more Wyatt 6 imagery on the screen briefly. This time you could actually make out the different members of the Wyatt 6. They were like all standing together. But they've been doing that a lot in recent weeks, flashing these glitches and these images on screen whenever Alexa is on TV. So they did the same thing here. The match itself was okay. I mean, it was good to see Roxanne get some shine here by getting the win for her team, and she got a win over Bayley. I suspect that Bayley is going to get her win back over Roxanne and probably eliminate her during the chamber match tomorrow. I still think that we're going to get a singles match between them WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania really is where it should be now that Roxanne is on the main roster. I suppose they could always do it at Stand and Deliver, which is happening WrestleMania Saturday. We don't know what time yet. But that probably will end up being a WrestleMania match because I don't know what else Bayley does on that show. And I don't think you're going to leave her off WrestleMania. Right? She's not winning the chamber tomorrow, I don't think. So, I mean, at least they gave Roxanne a chance to shine here by getting a win over a former women's champion. Backstage, Byron Saxton interviewed the #1 contender for Tiffany Stratton's title at WrestleMania, that being the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble, Charlotte Flair. And he asked her about Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus teaming up at Elimination Chamber. Charlotte said that it's cute, but Stratton has a bigger problem waiting for her. Of course, that problem being Charlotte Flair. Who is it that calls herself the Problem? Who's the women's wrestler that calls her? Oh, Marina Shafir, right? Isn't that what Marina Shafir used to call herself? The Problem? Well, now Charlotte Flair is the problem. Charlotte Flair is the problem. But we had a Shinsuke Nakamura video package that aired. This is the only bit of Shinsuke we had on the show tonight. He was not there. Nakamura spoke in Japanese. They had subtitles on screen. He said that whoever comes out of this next match will be made an example out of. And he said the other dogs will see what happens when you bite his hand. And he said nothing but hell awaits the winner. You know, he talks a big talk, but from what we see of him on TV, he never really backs up the rhetoric, right? He just talks all the time about hell and all the things he's going to do to his opponents, and it doesn't match. It doesn't really correlate to what we see on TV. In that way, he reminds me very much of Bray Wyatt, pre-Fiend. That was always the issue I had with Bray Wyatt and the way that he was portrayed and booked on TV many times, is that he would talk a big talk. He would use these big words, and he would have a fancy way of saying things and a very spooky way of saying things in these promos and these vignettes. But nearly every single time there was a big feud with a big climax, whether it was against John Cena or The Undertaker or Roman Reigns or whoever it would be, he lost. He lost. They made him look like a jabron. You talk a big talk, you got to be able to back it up every now and then. Had the same issue with him and his booking back then. In the back, Solo Sikoa was firing up Jacob Fatu while Tama Tonga looked on, and he told him he took care of Braun Strowman, and now it was all on Fatu. And with that, Fatu headed toward the gorilla position. He cut a promo on his way to the ring. For what turned out to be our in-ring main event on the show tonight, it was Jacob Fatu, Carmelo Hayes, and LA Knight in a triple threat match to determine the number one contender for the United States Championship. Knight hit an early top rope elbow drop on Hayes. Fatu tossed Knight out to the ring before he could go for the pin. A little while later, Fatu, he got a running start at a dive towards both men. Both men ducked, and Fatu went flying over the barricade into the timekeeper's area. He clipped, like barely clipped the top part of the barricade. It didn't really slow his momentum down, and he crashed down onto the pavement. Like there's no padding over there. And he just crashed onto the ground. He took a hard fall, and that took us into the final commercial break. Well, not the final one, but it took us into the commercial break. After the break, Fatu had total control. Knight ran into a stiff flying elbow. Fatu super kicked Carmelo Hayes. Crowd cheering him. They're still behind Jacob. Then he missed a senton to Carmelo, who followed up with a DDT. Fatu, though, popped right back up. Hit a pop-up Samoan drop. Knight and Mello, they teamed up for a little bit on Fatu. Fatu wasn't having any of that. And Knight did drop Fatu with a BFT. But at the same time that he did, Carmelo landed a first 48 on LA Knight. Got a good near fall on Knight out of it. Mello went up top. Knight pushed Mello onto Fatu, who was out on the floor. All of this resulted in LA Knight hitting a springboard splash onto Fatu, who basically the momentum, it took Knight over onto the top of the announce desk. So he cleared some good distance on that move there. Mello rolled Knight back into the ring. He went to the top to hit nothing but net. And he had the match won because he hit the move, but Fatu broke it up. He broke it up. He broke it up a little late. So basically what happened is Fatu came off the top rope with a swanton, and the spot was the swanton would break up the pin. He was a little slow in getting there, and so the referee had to sort of hold up a little bit. But ultimately he did break up the pin. And from there, Fatu hit his double jump moonsault onto Mello. He had the match won. LA Knight, though, reaches into the ring. He violently drags Jacob Fatu out to the floor, dives back into the ring, immediately covers Carmelo Hayes, and he steals the win. And what we ended up with here was, I thought, an enjoyable match. Shockingly little heat until the final few minutes, right? The people liked Jacob, but even like as the match went on, and they gave them some time, it's very quiet. Especially like these Canadian crowds, like especially in Toronto, like they have a reputation as being very vocal, very lively, very vocal. So that's why I say shockingly little heat for the majority of this match, outside of a few big spots. And then, you know, what happened at the finish there. So now LA Knight is the number one contender for the United States Championship. So we went through this whole rigmarole here tonight, this little tournament. We got 4 matches out of it, right? We got some good action, but we go through this entire exercise just to end up right back in the same place we were at last week, which was LA Knight, number one contender for the United States Championship, which renders all of this completely pointless. But again, they have 3 hours to fill. Whatever the reason was that Nakamura couldn't be on the show, right? Personal or otherwise, he couldn't be there. And they have 3 hours to fill. And when you have a 3-hour show, and it's the go-home show, and they're trying to figure out what can we do, this is what they came up with. But the end result is exactly where we were before. It puts us right back in the same spot. I was surprised again, though, not to see Solo Sikoa and or Braun Strowman get involved. That did surprise me, that the match was basically clean. The clean match, right? Nobody got involved. Knight stole the win, but it's perfectly legal. So that aspect of it surprised me, pleasantly so. I'm not saying that I was dying to have run-ins in this match, because we get enough of those on this show. It was a pleasant surprise that we didn't get that. Now, Cody was walking backstage, and he ran into CM Punk, who was loitering. He's just hanging around, right? I mean, he had already finished for the night. He could have gone home. Well, I guess not home, but that would be stupid, I suppose, to fly home from Toronto to Chicago just to fly back to Toronto tomorrow. But he could have gone back to the hotel, you know. I was going to say, he could have gone to the bar and had a drink at the hotel, but he's straight edge. What does this fucking guy do? Read comic books? What does he do? I don't know. It's a good question. Anyway, so Cody was walking backstage. He ran into CM Punk, who asked Cody, what does Rock wanting your soul even mean? Punk said that, you know, if I was younger, he would have taken the Rock up on his offer in a heartbeat. But now he's happy that that offer never came to him. And Punk told Cody, you know what you should do? You should take the Rock's offer. And Cody was taken aback by this. Like, really? What? And Punk said, yeah, you should take his offer. You should shine it up real nice. You should turn it sideways. And you should stick it straight up that part-time Hollywood candy ass. Everybody cheered. Punk told Cody that he's going to win the Elimination Chamber and he would see him in the main event at WrestleMania. We're getting a lot of interactions between these two, right? We had the interactions between them several weeks ago on TV, I think heading into the Rumble. Now we have another one here. It's got to be leading to something. I don't disagree, by the way, with the people when I mentioned it before who were like, oh, we're not going back to this triple threat talk again, are we? With Roman and Rollins and Punk. The idea of Punk being involved in the main event and the championship picture at WrestleMania, or being involved in this Rock story, is compelling. I would rather see that. I hope he does get his WrestleMania main event this year. I think it would make things a lot more interesting. And I feel like we're getting a lot of interaction between him and Cody, so much so that if we don't get anything between them at WrestleMania, it would almost feel like a bait and switch at this point, because they've teased it so much that to not give it to us would feel wrong. Like he has to be involved in some way, even if he doesn't win the chamber, right? But that's where the favor from Heyman could come into play. Just because Punk doesn't win the chamber tomorrow, if he doesn't win, doesn't mean that he can't find his way into the WrestleMania main event. Because we still have 8 weeks, or maybe 7 weeks and a favor. And with Heyman's favor and 7 weeks left, a lot can happen. But we close the show with Michael Cole in the ring to introduce the WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes to the ring to address this whole Rock situation heading into the Elimination Chamber. Cole said that Cody has a decision to make about whether or not he's going to sell his soul to The Rock. And he ran down Cody's history since coming back to WWE and finishing the story. And now he says, you represent all of these people. He said Cody is living up to the legacy of his father, but he wanted to bring up what might happen if Cody accepts The Rock's offer. And Cody tried to cut him off and say something, and Cole cut him off. He said, Cody, I got to stop you there. And he said, you could have it all the money in the world. You could be the corporate champion. That's what he said, by the way. That's the word he used. You could be the corporate champion. You could determine and decide when you want to defend the title. The Rock could give you a seat on the board. You could skip the long European tours that take you on the road and away from your family for 2 weeks at a time, 3 weeks at a time. You could skip all of that. Be home with your family. You could get rid of the bus. Why, by the way, would he want to get rid of the bus? Have you seen Cody's bus? Why would you want to get rid of that? I wouldn't want to I'd fucking live on the bus. I've seen the inside of that bus. I ain't getting rid of that shit. But he's like, oh, you can get rid of the bus so you could spend more time at home with your family. And he goes, wait, I'm being told there's a special gift for you tonight. And as he says this, someone drives out from the side of the stage, out onto the stage, a giant red American Nightmare pickup truck. So on the big screen, we see a black truck pull up on the tarmac somewhere. Now, Cody has left the ring, and he has gone down the aisle, and now he's standing on stage right next to the truck, and he's looking up at the screen, and it's The Rock. The Rock emerges from the black truck, and he says, The Rock is coming to Toronto, and he's getting ready to board the Big Bird here to make the trip. And so they showed the plane. He said, Cody is going to make the decision of a lifetime. Said Cody knows it. They've been texting and FaceTiming all week, and he knows that Cody is going to do the right thing. Again, I go back to what I said last week when I was talking about how weird this all is, about, he's hugging Cody and kissing Cody and talking about how I want you to be my brother and want your soul, all this stuff. Now he's revealing that they've been texting. They've been texting all week. They've been FaceTiming all week. Just fuck him and get it over with. My God. He's buying him gifts, right? He bought him all the food he had in his locker room earlier. He buys him a truck. It really is. It's like he's courting this man. I don't know what he's trying to do. He's trying to court him, groom him. I don't know what he's trying to do. Rock tells him to enjoy the gift. Says it's a Ford Raptor truck, custom made just for Cody, because he knows Cody enjoys driving just like The Rock does. Driving on those beautiful roads, on those dusty roads. Speaking of dusty, he says, God bless your daddy, the American dream. I've been talking to him all week. And Dusty told me that Cody's been talking to him too, which tells The Rock one thing, that Cody is going to do the right thing. And then he sang from a country song. I don't know what country song he sang from. I don't care enough to look. I didn't write down the lyrics. The only thing I wrote down here, I said, this is literally what I wrote. He sang from a country song. He called himself a big pot of coffee, and he said that he can make all of Cody's dreams come true. I think this man has gone insane. That's what I have deduced from the last 2 weeks. I think The Rock has gone insane. Maybe he's got some kind of split personality where on January 6th, we had Dwayne, the board member, who was semi-normal. And now we have the final boss, who, after what happened last year, has just completely lost his mind. Maybe that's the story. What happened at the end of night 2 of WrestleMania maybe just sent him off the deep end. I don't know. He said he's going to walk to that ring tomorrow night and open his arms for Cody to embrace him as his champion and give him his soul. So he repeated himself a few more times, as he does, about making Cody's dreams come. Cody, I'm going to make all your dreams come true. And we're going to embrace. You're going to be my champion. I'm going to have your soul. And Cody, we're going to talk about your daddy. We're going to talk about all this stuff, but I know you're going to do the right thing, and you are going to be my champion. You are going to give me your soul. Cody, in case you forgot what I just said, I know that you're going to be my champion. You're going to give me your soul. In case you couldn't pick up on it the first few times that he said it. So he kept going on and on. He said all of his dreams will come true with one decision. Cody will give, I shit you not, he said it again. Cody will give him his soul, and he will be his champion. So he said, I had a little gift made for you. And he showed off a white weight belt that said Cody's soul on it. And then below it, in smaller text, it had a date. And the date on there was June 11th, 2015. That was the date that Dusty Rhodes passed away. And the date that broke his heart, he said, because his daddy was one of my heroes. Right? Your daddy was one of my heroes. Don't break my heart again. He told Cody, I love you, brother. And he boarded the plane. As Cody was left standing on stage in front of his big red truck, contemplating what he just heard. I think we've all been contemplating what we have heard over the past week. The crowd, by the way, I forgot to mention this. During this segment, the crowd, not everybody, but you could hear people in the crowd chanting at Cody, sell your soul, sell your soul. I don't know if that's what you want the fans chanting at your top babyface, but that's what they were doing. They want Cody to sell his soul. Well, look, this was certainly something. This was certainly something. I'm not quite sure what, but this was something. The "don't break my heart again" line, right? If that sounds familiar, it's what Rock told Cody last year. When he handed that object to Cody, which we would find out later on, Cody said that it was the Rolex watch that he had gifted to Rock before WrestleMania last year. Rock, that's what he handed back to him in that segment, supposedly. And he told Cody, "Don't ever break my heart." I don't remember if it was "don't ever break my heart" or "don't ever break my heart again," I think is what he said. So I don't believe that what we are seeing now, and him using the line now here in this promo, is something that has been meticulously planned for over a year. Okay? I don't believe that. What I think they're trying to do here, which is okay if you can tie it all together and have it make sense in the end, I could appreciate that. But I think they're trying to retrofit this shit, and they're trying to kind of explain what was meant by that line from last year. They're tying it into this now. "Don't break my heart again." It was another weird segment. I guess these are just meant to be uncomfortable, especially with The Rock printing the date that this man's father died, on the weight belt like that. Weird, I would say, is a good word for it. What it is good at doing, though, I think, is just getting people's attention, because people are certainly talking about this, good, bad, or indifferent. They're talking about this Rock stuff and where it might lead. I get the sense that people are more excited about the possibilities of anybody other than Cody selling their soul to The Rock. There are people who are genuinely excited at the possibility that John Cena might go heel. CM Punk might go corporate. We might get corporate Punk because he's so desperate to get that WrestleMania main event and get that belt back. There's any number of people, McIntyre, Rollins, right? You could plug Randy Orton. You could plug so many different people. And if you've kind of fantasy booked this in your head, that is what I think people are getting excited about, because it is fun to kind of play out the possibilities. I do worry that we're all playing out these possibilities, and we may be coming up with ideas better than what they come up with. I hope not. I hope that's not the case. What it has done, though, is created this level of interest maybe that wasn't there before in the Elimination Chamber. I was looking forward to the Elimination Chamber anyway, especially the men's match, to see where they go with it. Plus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. But Rock being on the show is going to bring a level of interest to the show that it would not have had before, right? And it gives Cody now a role on the show tomorrow, even though he's not defending his title. So it's smart. Now they just have to follow up and give us an outcome to all this that works. Don't leave us hanging with a segment that when it's over, we look at it and go, what the hell was this? What was the point of any of this? Right? That's not how you want to leave people. So they kind of give you that little hook. Now they have to deliver. Is Cody going to accept The Rock's offer? No, he's not going to accept The Rock's offer. And even if he was contemplating accepting The Rock's offer, The Rock took the date that this man's father died and printed it on a fucking weight belt, right? I don't see how that's going to endear Cody Rhodes to The Rock. So he's going to reject The Rock's offer. Not only should he reject The Rock's offer, but for pulling a stunt like that, he should pop him in the fucking mouth is what he should do. And then I think that's where the fun begins, because now we have to wait and see, how's the chamber going to play out, right? Are we going to get our answer tomorrow about who is going to take The Rock's offer, if not Cody? Are they going to drag it out until WrestleMania and save the big surprise for Las Vegas? This is where things can get really fun, depending on how they play it out, right? It's weird. It's bizarre. It doesn't really completely feel like this was the long-term plan. But if they can come up with a plan that works and brings other people in, we get a big heel turn from someone, this could turn out to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with tomorrow. Let me run down the card here. We'll give some predictions real quick. I told you, Cody not selling his soul. I think we're probably mostly all on the same page with that. I mean, that's the easiest thing to predict. As far as the Elimination Chamber matches, I'm sticking with John Cena. I think John Cena is going to win. I think John Cena is going to go and wrestle Cody Rhodes, whether Punk or anybody else gets themselves added to the match. Very possible. Cena could win the Elimination Chamber. I don't feel like it will end up being one-on-one. I feel like there's so many moving parts here. We probably get at least one person added to that match. But I think John Cena is going to win. I think Bianca Belair is winning the Women's Elimination Chamber. I think Sami Zayn is going to pick up the win over Kevin Owens when we get the return of Randy Orton. It's a non-sanctioned match. Orton could show up. He could do anything he wants to Kevin Owens. Punt kick, RKO. But we're going to see Randy Orton. He'll factor into the finish of that match. And Tiffany and Trish are going to get the win over Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. If they do lose, I don't see Nia being the one to take the losing fall. I think that's why Candice is in there. They're going to want to protect Nia. We're going to get another championship match with her and Tiffany on TV at some point between now and WrestleMania. There's no need for her to be the one to take the loss in this match if they do lose. But I'm going to go with Tiffany and Trish for the win. And so you know, I will be live as soon as the Elimination Chamber is over tomorrow. So again, we're probably looking at about 10:30-ish, 11 o'clock on the East Coast, because it's a 7 o'clock start. I will be live on YouTube to talk about Cody's soul and everything else, top to bottom, that happens on this show. There's only 4 matches on the show. The Rock and Cody segment is basically match number 5. So it's not a big card, but it's going to be a very important one that's going to really paint the picture of what we're looking at WrestleMania this year. So hopefully you will join me for that, and I will see you guys for that tomorrow night. Let's check the Twitter poll here. What did you think of SmackDown tonight? From Toronto, 82% thumbs up, 17.6% thumbs down. Been a while since SmackDown got that score, because SmackDown has not been good at all in recent weeks. So that's encouraging to see. I said, it definitely better than a lot of the recent SmackDown episodes that we have gotten. Absolutely.
So
I want your soul.
Is that what it is?
I want your soul. JD, give me your soul. I want your soul.
That's creepy. That is creepy.
Give me your soul. I want your soul. Give it to me.
Let's take a look at your super chats. We hit the goal, by the way. 10 out of 10 in the live chat, so there you go. We're going to get a bonus Be the Booker. You're getting 2. You're getting 2 of them tonight. Because we are at 422 likes, so that's what I like to see. Love this song. All right, here we go. Let's start with the Real CSO2. Getting us started with a $9.99 super chat. Says the Hardys. Okay, so this is his proposal. The Hardys beat Fraxium at Roadblock to retain the TNA Tag Team titles, which also gets them an NXT Tag Team title shot at Stand and Deliver. Oba beats Moose, and Ricky challenges Oba at the same event. What do you think? If Ricky's not winning the title, I don't like that idea. I don't know why you would be so quick to thrust Ricky into that spot unless he's going to win. If he's going to win, sure. I'm not putting Ricky Starks in the ring with Oba Femi, though, right now, unless he's winning. Because I'm not beating him this quickly. He just debuted. Holiday 197, what's going on, brother? What's going on, brother? Thank you so much for the super chat. He says, what if Gunther becomes The Rock's corporate champion on Raw and Jay gets screwed at WrestleMania? Gunther seems like a great fit, and it would build Jay more chasing. Could set up Rock against Roman later. Yeah, that's not going to happen. And honestly, I don't like that idea. I mean, I could see Gunther being the corporate champion. I mean, I could see that working. Jey Uso going to WrestleMania to lose to Gunther for a 4th time, and then him continuing to pursue the World Heavyweight Championship after another loss. I have 0 interest in seeing that. None. He either wins at WrestleMania or he's done. You move on. We can't keep doing this Jey Uso thing. It's like Cody. If Cody would have lost at WrestleMania last year, it's like, okay, it's time to move on. You can only lose so many times. We can't prolong this. Joseph Morris, I don't think it makes storyline sense for Bianca to win the Chamber when she will be involved with the Jade storyline. That's why Liv should win. I think it makes perfect sense. Who's to say she can't be involved in both? And even if she's not going to be involved in both, who says she has to be involved in the Jade storyline once the reveal happens? That she can't go off and have her own match and then circle back around to it. Liv could very well win. It's either Liv or Bianca, I think. But I don't need to see Liv back in the ring with Rhea Ripley again. I don't want to see that again. Isaiah says, made my girlfriend upset tonight because I didn't hear her correctly. I feel like crap, but I have the Solomonster to help take my mind off of it. Because you didn't hear her correctly? Did you tell her that? I'm sure she would understand. Holiday says, so it looks like the Cody and Solo Sikoa program has been whitewashed with The Rock's return. It's a good thing, though. We don't need another match. I don't think it was ever going to be a program. So I don't think anything was whitewashed. But it is a good thing, though, that they got away from that. That I do agree with. We didn't need to see Cody and Solo Sikoa interacting anymore. We got Aaron. We got Aaron Ruggiero. If you can believe it. Aaron dropped a 50 bomb. This was earlier. This came in even before I went live. 2 weeks in a row of Cody barely being able to speak and Rock rambling forever. I like the premise of the story, but damn, the execution is shit. They have to redeem this tomorrow. Also, they better not be for real wasting Cena's Final Mania on Logan Paul. Yeah, I hope they can do better than that, but yeah, I mean, as far as the Rock stuff is concerned, the execution has been questionable. But I do think the end result could end up being a lot of fun, depending on how they take it. Aaron, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Hulkling93, what was up with Escobar? He performed just like he didn't give a damn. Besides that, Super Rana, he did moves in lackluster fashion and awkward selling. I didn't notice that as much as I did him walking off the way he did and basically no selling the BFT when the match was over. I definitely think there was some frustration there coming through. Speaking of frustration, I definitely think there was some frustration there shining through. It was very visible. The Mount Vernon Kid, Christopher Bennett tag brawl was cool. Reminded me of the old days, but it's sad that the entire division we saw in the ring on that is the entire division we saw in the ring on SmackDown. Am I wrong? Well, I mean, you got the Bloodline. If you want to count them, right now the great Tongaloa is still out hurt. But that was pretty much, yeah, the entire SmackDown tag team division, I think. Who are we missing? As far as the SmackDown division, yeah, I think you're right. Trill Mexican. There he is. I knew we would see him tonight. Trill Mexican says, I'm a simple man. Solomonster plays Back to Love before a review. I give him money and love him for it. Hope he plays it on April 19th. On my birthday. Well, we'll see. I make no promises. Trill Mexican, thank you, brother. I'm glad you enjoy it. It's a great song. It's a great fucking song. I love that song. Chris O'Neill, Punk has the corporate hair. That's the hint of him turning heel. I thought the hint of turning heel was a beard. When somebody starts to grow their beard in, like if you ever see me starting to grow my beard in here on stream, then you know I'm going heel. But right now, I'm clean shaven. I'm like a baby face. Dev to Dust, Jalen Brunson or Francisco Lindor? Francisco Lindor, of course. David Thiering with the 27. After what happened on TNT on Tuesday, I wonder what this super chat is. Let's give it a spin, shall we? Looking forward to tomorrow, Solomonster, and what happens next in the WrestleMania build. As am I. As am I, David. Thank you, brother. Best always. 10 months of channel membership. And Brandon Proctor gifted 5 Sound Off memberships. That's what I love to see. Natasha. Like our friend Aaron from earlier, we have Natasha dropping a $50 super chat. Happy Friday, all. Special shout out to my oldest, Selena, who turns 7 tomorrow, an amazing Down syndrome girl who pushes boundaries every day and showing that nothing stops her. Also, Solo, thank you for your words about my current issue at work. Natasha, you are very welcome. I hope that everything stays status quo. I'm sure it will. So I hope everything is going well this week. And happy birthday. Happy birthday to Selena. I hope she gets everything she wants, and it's a great birthday for her tomorrow. I don't know if she's a wrestling fan, but maybe she could celebrate by watching Elimination Chamber. Thank you, though, for the 50, Natasha. I appreciate that very, very much. Mr. Rod, gotta hand it to Logan Paul. Nice troll job. Other than that, I put my TV on mute when he started talking. You know, I should have done that. You had the right idea. Rarely even. Do you think it's possible that Rock and Cody are currently in cahoots and these bizarre promos are there to throw everybody off, including the viewers? I don't. No, I don't. David Thiering with the $40 super chat. Speaking of soul stealing, this is your stream reminder to hit that like button. Otherwise, Goldberg will come for your soul, and he will come to see you when you are asleep. Or he'll just come, like the Bukkake ghost. Thank you, David. Janelle Grant is with us again tonight with $1.99. Trish is modern-day Lesnar, used for the rub. Well, I mean, look, they're trying to give Tiffany the rub by teaming with Trish in Toronto. Tiffany, by the way, I didn't mention this earlier in her promo. She still doesn't feel comfortable doing these babyface promos. You know, again, there's got to be an evolution there in the way that she presents herself, that she speaks, the things she says. And she's just coming off as very awkward to me in these segments. Hey, Foxstar Killer with 19 months of channel membership. Happy 19 months as a channel member. Just turned 37 years old 2 days ago. Had a 2-night stay at a hotel down the road from my house as a present. My first time ever having had a hotel all to myself. You stayed at a hotel down the road from your house? Didn't you want to sleep in your own bed? You got to go on vacation, man. You got to go to a hotel somewhere far away from home. Like me. That's what I need to do. I need a vacation. Mr. Rod, on the AEW front, I know I can't be the only one who thinks Jay White turns on Copeland at Revolution. Agree or disagree? Me personally, I don't get that sense. There's somebody who wrote into the mailbag with kind of an interesting scenario about how things may play out with Jay White at Revolution. I'll probably use that question on the sound off, but I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. Rarely even is it possible that Rock and Cody have been in cahoots this whole time, and these weird segments are a way to throw everybody off. This is the same super chat. And I'll give you the same answer I gave you before. No, I don't think so. Brandon Vasquez. Someone should have told Rock that Valentine's Day was 2 weeks ago. Aaron with another 20. Final chamber prediction. Rock and Cody live sex celebration. You wrote that in all caps here. You sound very excited by this possibility. You're more excited about that than I am. I don't think Brandy is going to stand for that. I think Brandy's going to walk out there and be like, who the hell told you that it's open mic night, bitch? You gotta say it like Brandy did, though.
Who the hell told you that it was open mic night, bitch?
See, that's how you got to do it. Brandon Vasquez, if Cody sells his soul to The Rock, does that come with or without his adrenaline? Oh, it comes with. The Rock is on the board, man. He gets it all. It's part of the package. David Thiering, my reaction to a Cody and Rock sex celebration is this. This super chat, yes. Is that the Hogan booing one, or is that the Rock off is the direction you can fuck? I don't even know which super chat is which anymore. Eminem with the 25. We're giving love to Goldberg and Rock's soul, but I had to activate Brie mode. If Drew wins the chamber, then it makes sense to relive the Drew Cody history. Drew is not winning the chamber. I don't believe Drew is winning the chamber. Drew won the chamber last year. Do you honestly see him winning the Elimination Chamber 2 years in a row? Because I don't. It says, but if Cena wins WrestleMania 41, is going to be WrestleMania 27 all over again. Oh, don't say that. Don't remind me of that. It's one of the worst WrestleManias. It's Hogan getting booed. Okay, so that one's Hogan getting booed. King Nader. What did Hulk Hogan ask in Arts and Crafts? What you gonna glue, brother?
You suck.
So mean. Holiday 197. I don't see anyone talking about Roman being involved in the Elimination Chamber match to get revenge on Seth Rollins. I'm thinking we may get Roman versus Seth at WrestleMania, possibly inside Hell in a Cell. We just had Hell in a Cell a few months ago. I wouldn't run it back that quickly. I don't think I would run back Hell in a Cell that soon. Our friend GMB is back. While she is entertaining in ring, Tiffany is pretty brutal on the mic. I don't know if it's the high-pitched voice or not, but real bad. Yeah, I mean, the promos are not clicking. She's still doing that Valley Girl thing with like the voice and her inflection and everything. It just seems very dated. Like she was doing that previously, and now I don't know why she's still coming off that way. The promos are not good. You're right. You're absolutely right. The promos are not good. Super Pony. Does Kevin Owens hit the Steenalizer tomorrow night? I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. Manuel Macias, what do you think WrestleMania attendance will reach? I'm a bit bummed that it's only 45,000 so far since it's my first Mania, but I totally get that prices are insane. Prices are crazy. And it'll pick up as we get closer. I think they'll end up at about 50-ish each night. Rarely even, Cody is a natural heel, Solomonster. He made himself famous as a heel. Is this just me? I think he's a natural-born heel. He may be, but he's a great babyface. Can't argue with the success that he's had as a babyface. I do think that he has a natural... There is a natural heelness to him. It came out a lot, honestly, in those old Being the Elite videos. So when the day comes, I think he could be a great heel. It's just that today is not that day. I think it would be crazy to turn him right now. Abyssal Zones with a $3 super chat. If Braun had just stood there and no sold Tama Tonga's punch, he'd have won by DQ. All he had to do was nothing. And somehow he still lost. Because he's an idiot. Rarely even. So has Roxanne been called up officially, or is she still on the fringe? I have no idea. They haven't told us. She's still showing up. She was on NXT this week. What is she listed on WWE.com? I'll bet you she's still on the NXT roster page. I have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised if she has no idea. Maybe she was the one who asked Sean Ross Sapp the other week. Can you tell me if I'm on the am I the heel side or the babyface side? I wouldn't be shocked. Navy 4181. I don't think Cena will win tomorrow because that means he would tie the record for the most Elimination Chamber wins. The record belongs to Triple H. So you think Triple H is still so self-absorbed that he can't allow Cena in his retirement year to own the record? Tonga Loa Superfan. Fun fact. Tonga Loa. You might be the only person to ever use the word fun in the same sentence as Tonga Loa. Tonga Loa has had the same number of WrestleMania main events as CM Punk does. Unfortunately for Punk, Tonga Loa looks to break that tie after tomorrow. So you think he's going to be what? A surprise entry in the Elimination Chamber? Do you know something I don't? The Juliet wanted to see what this new super chat was. Just give me one-on-one moment between Punk and Cena in the chamber tomorrow night. Also, rest in peace, Gene Hackman, one of the best actors to ever do it. Yes, indeed. One of the greats. And I'm sure we are going to get... We didn't get enough of Punk and Cena. We barely got Punk and Cena in the Rumble. And I'm sure they're going to have a match at some point this year, but they're both going to be in the chamber. We're guaranteed to have some interaction between them. Eminem says, game, set, goal. Yes, we did. We hit the goal. We hit the goal. Brandon Alvarez, what do you think about the situation regarding SmackDown in Spain? Punk, Seth, and Roman are only going to SmackDown in Italy and the UK. Cena is only working Raw shows, and half the arena is currently empty. I wasn't even aware of there being a SmackDown situation in Spain. This is the first I'm hearing about this. So Punk, Seth, and Roman are not going to Spain? and apparently Cena is not going to be there, well, then who is Spain getting? Yeah, I'd be pretty upset if I lived in Spain. Maybe Tonga Loa will be back before then. They could put Tonga Loa on that show. Then you'll see ticket sales spike. They're going to be standing room only in Spain. They love Tonga Loa in Spain. I don't know why, but he's got a huge fan base there. Toby says, what's the likes goal? Well, for tonight it was 450. And we are currently at 465. So that's the update. Marquand, 1976. Rock to Cody. Give me some... I don't know what that means. And I'm not going to say it. But thank you, Marquand. Tonga Loa superfan. How would Punk react if Tonga Loa had a WrestleMania main event before he did? I think he might try to choke him out backstage. He might even go off in the scrum. Delwyn Jones with a $25 super chat. I have a hunch The Rock is going to crash the men's Elimination Chamber match, win it, and then face Cody at WrestleMania 41 after Cody says no, and boom. I thought you were one of the Costco guys there for a second. The way I read that, it says after Cody says no, after Cody says no, and boom. Remember, Ariel did say he heard huge things at Elimination Chamber, and now Triple H posted that it will be an industry-changing weekend. Yeah, they've really been ratcheting up the hype for this show, and you don't want to oversell it. So if he's talking about industry changing this weekend, he better have something good planned. Chris Hogan. Can't wait for Punk to tell Cody how he beat up his friends in AEW once he left on the road to WrestleMania. He beat up Cody's friends. Rarely even. Could Ricky even hit the Rochambeau on Oba? You know, he got Powerhouse Hobbs up for it in their match. So I think that he probably could. I'm going to say yes. I think Ricky could get Obafemi up for the Rochambeau. It's not going to be easy, but I think he could do it. Blue Jay says TNA Sacrifice secured for El Paso, Texas. Very exciting. That's very cool. I assume you are from El Paso? How big of a building are they running there? Hydrograd. Oven Mitt was diabolical. Oven Mitt was accurate. That's why I laughed out loud. That's exactly what he looked like. Aaron with a $10 super chat says, just want to make it clear, I do not want a live sex celebration. I deny these allegations. However, Solo is the one who I first heard mention the sexual tension.
Have the best moveset.
The sexual tension last Friday. I was hardly the only one to mention the sexual tension, just for the record. Justin G, what does Penta get when he's old? Cerro Libido. Terrible. 2 out of 10. Project Libertad. Weird how Jey Uso wins the Rumble and people start questioning 90% of all booking decisions that Triple H made over the year. I mean, people have been complaining about, the people who don't like Jey Uso have been complaining about his push for a while now. Nick Grasso, this has been a sad week with celebrity deaths. First, Michelle Trachtenberg, and then Gene Hackman. Rest in peace to... Well, you know, they say they come in threes. I hate to say it. I keep wondering if we're going to get a third announcement, because that's usually how it works. Rarely even. The big difference between the two of them, of course, is that Michelle Trachtenberg was 39. Gene Hackman was 95. Pretty big difference there. Rarely even. I'm glad they didn't change the name of Ricky's finisher. Rochambeau might be the best finisher name in the business. I don't know. War Machine is pretty good. Hydrograd. I just rewatched Steen and Generico's ladder match from Final Battle 2012. I seriously doubt that it'll be nearly as brutal of a match tomorrow night, but I'm sure both men are going to kill it. Well, if they don't kill it, they're going to kill each other. I don't know if we're going to get the kind of brutality we had there. I don't know if we're going to get a Steenalizer, but it's an unsanctioned match. They're in Canada. It's on a PLE. You know they're going to do some crazy shit to each other in that match. Peter McNasty, this retirement tour is off to a shitty start. Shaking my head. It is. And Justin G. I've seen grocery costs keep the veggies coming. I'm gonna need a translation. I don't know what you're trying to say there. I've seen grocery costs keep the veggies coming. Oh, Justin. Well, look, when John Cena says, "You can't see me," I don't know why you people didn't take him at his word. You got to take him literally. Haven't been able to see him. But we'll see him tomorrow. And my hope is that if we're going to see him tomorrow and he wins, he needs to be on TV. None of this once a month bullshit. They have him for 30 some odd dates. WrestleMania is the time where we need to start seeing him make use of those dates. Blue Jay. El Paso County Coliseum seats up to 11,000. Bring Hog. I don't know. I don't know that we're going to get 11,000. I don't know about that. As far as Texas, stay tuned. Rarely even. How awesome would it be if Sami Zayn came out as El Generico tomorrow? I think that would be pretty terrible, actually. Because he's never been El Generico in WWE, so why would he come out as El Generico all of a sudden? You'd have a bunch of very confused people. Bliss fan says Wyatt 6 will help Alexa Bliss win the Elimination Chamber. So we get Alexa Bliss against Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania? You really think that that's the strongest opponent for Rhea at WrestleMania this year? Well, who am I asking? I already know the answer before I even finish asking the question. All right, we hit the goal tonight. We hit both goals. So thank you guys for all of the support. And with that, you get 2 rounds tonight of our famed Be the Booker segment, which I know you're all on pins and needles waiting for, so let's wait no more. It is time to be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
Bliss fan says, top female merch mover, etc. Yeah, but what does that have to do with what I just asked you? I asked you if you think that she is the strongest opponent as far as a match at WrestleMania for Rhea Ripley. I didn't ask you about her merch numbers. I don't give a fuck about her merch numbers. I didn't ask about that. I asked about the match. I'm not doubting that she's obviously selling a lot of merch and she's very popular. That's 2 totally different questions. We're talking about 2 totally different things here. All right, Friday night, be the Booker. Early Saturday morning, be the booker, I should say. All right, we're going to start with tag teams. This is round one. All right, we're going to start with the tag teams here. And we begin with the Brothers of Destruction. Kane and The Undertaker. I'm being told that we're at 492 likes. It's very close to 500. See if you can help get me there. Undertaker and Kane. I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the ring against these two guys. But it's going to be the New Age Outlaws. Badass Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg are going to take on the Brothers of Destruction. Good way to kick things off. Women's Be the Booker. We begin with Mayu Iwatani, one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Mayu Iwatani. And she will be going one-on-one with Michin, or as she is here in this image here, Mia Yim. Mayu Iwatani is quite good. She is quite good. I think her and Mia Yim could be a very good match. And now men's Be the Booker. This is where it gets interesting here. What is our main event going to be? What is our main event going to be? What do you think, huh? Any guesses? Say his name and he appears. The TNA World Heavyweight Champion is in our main event tonight. It is Joe Hendry, who is still calling out John Cena, by the way. John Cena barely appears on WWE television. It's not looking too good, Joe. I don't think you're going to be able to grab him. Joe Hendry, Do You Believe, is going to defend the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Andre the Giant. There's a match I bet you thought you'd never see. Now, I want you to picture in your head what this match might look like. Andre the Giant against Joe Hendry. This is why I put together Be the Booker. To contemplate matches just like that. And we got a clean sweep. I believe we got a double sweep the other night. This would be 3 in a row. I believe this is 3 in a row. It's pretty incredible. Well, now we get round 2. Because you guys get a bonus tonight. So this one's going to have stipulations. This could be a bad idea, or it could turn out to be another sweep. Let's see. We'll start with tag teams, and we'll pick a stipulation. It will be tag team Anarchy in the Arena, which is perfect because Anarchy in the Arena is a tag team match anyway. So we have Anarchy in the Arena. There we go. And now we get to pick 2 tag teams. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker, former tag team champions. Our second Undertaker match here tonight. Stone Cold and The Undertaker are going to take on the Midnight Express in an Anarchy in the Arena match. There's some classic wrestling for you right there. Look at this. Beautiful Bobby. Dennis Condrey. There's some classic wrestling. Women's match. We need a stip. We need a stipulation. Yeah, Undertaker's working double duty tonight, like LA Knight did tonight. The women's match is going to be a parking lot brawl. Okay, so now we know what we're getting here. Parking lot brawl. Sounds interesting. We have the former TNA Knockouts champion, hardcore country herself, Mickie James, is going to be in a parking lot brawl. And she will be taking on the former AEW Women's World Champion. This is the version of her that I miss, Jamie Hayter. How about that? Mickie James and Jamie Hayter in a parking lot brawl. How fucking great is that? That's what I'm talking about. You could bell that shit right away. And now, our main event. Our main event, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a dog collar match. There have been some classic dog collar matches in wrestling history. We had one a few years ago with CM Punk and MJF. Brody Lee's last match of his life was a dog collar match against Cody Rhodes. Who will be the unlucky participants in this one? I don't believe this. This poor fucker. The Undertaker is in our main event. 3 fucking matches tonight for The Undertaker. You know, of all the people to run out there 3 times in one night, The Undertaker would not be my first choice. We're putting this guy to work tonight. This time it's Purple Glove Undertaker. This is like 94 Undertaker. Undertaker running into the ground. Undertaker's already held together by scotch tape and bobby pins. And we're throwing this fucking guy out there for a 3rd time tonight. We are trying to kill the Undertaker. What was the stipulation? I already forgot what the stipulation was that I picked. What stipulation did I pick? We had, what did we have? We had Anarchy in the arena. We had Parking Lot Brawl. I don't remember the stipulation that I just picked. Someone in the chat remind me, please. Dog collar, thank you. My God, my mind is mush. Okay, Undertaker is going to be in an Anarchy in the Arena match and a dog collar match. Against Hook. We almost had it. We almost had back-to-back double sweeps. How great would that have been? Undertaker and Hook in a dog collar match. Damn. We're so close. Ah, well. What are you going to do? We did well, though. We booked some pretty cool matches tonight. Can't lie about that. We've got Bascolino Calvacante. Why does that keep happening to Cody? I don't know what you're talking about. Are you referring to the person who keeps asking for his soul? I don't know what else you would be talking about, but thank you. Thank you, Bascolino. Devin from New Jersey, if WCW made it to their Big Bang pay-per-view in 2001, would it have made a difference, or was the death inevitable? I think the death was inevitable. You honestly think Bischoff would have turned it around? Death was inevitable. Aaron with a $10 super chat. Bring House of Glory to Buffalo. We would love to have you guys. I'll be at Raw this Monday here. Hopefully, I will have time to join the stream that night to report on the crowd feel. Thanks for your time tonight, Solo. Well, thank you for the support, Aaron. I hope you have a good time on Monday. You're going to be at the post-Elimination Chamber Raw, which means you are going to get to see Rhea Ripley defend her championship against Io Sky. So you're going to get at least one really great match on Monday. So yes, please report back. And Blue Jay says, Bruiser Brody against Mick Foley. Who wins? Bruiser Brody. Mick Foley's going to bump his ass off for him, and Bruiser Brody ain't doing the job for Mick Foley. That's an easy one. Hook would have taken 40 lashes from the dog collar chain across his back. I just picture Undertaker sitting in the shower with David Flair. Right, he was all bloody. What are you doing, sir? And he like, I'm kicking your ass. He punches him. That would have been that. That was Biker Taker. Biker Taker against Hook. Oh man. Well, this has been fun. 2 rounds of Be the Booker. Some good discussion tonight going into the Elimination Chamber tomorrow. Just to remind you, I will be live on YouTube right back here. In less than 24 hours, we get to talk about the Elimination Chamber. If Cody still has his soul and who his challenger is going to be at WrestleMania, we're going to find out tomorrow. We don't have to wait very long. Or later today, I should say. Hit that like button on your way out if you have not already done so. Welcome to all of our new channel members and subscribers. As we make the climb towards 85,000. Hopefully we'll make an even greater climb tomorrow night. Usually these PLEs do really well. It's the first stream of the month of March too, so want to get things started on a strong note. Aaron with one last super chat. Back again. Almost had a double sweep just like we almost had one on Wednesday. We are due for one. I thought we had one on Wednesday. Or am I thinking of Monday? I could have sworn we had one on Wednesday. Well, we'll have another one soon. As long as you guys keep hitting these goals, we're bound to get one. Chamber tomorrow, Sound Off episode 903. Coming your way later in the day on Sunday. Then, of course, Raw on Monday night. So plenty of content. Be well. Stay safe. I don't know why I stumbled there. Stay safe. Let's try that again. Be well. Stay safe. And I will see you for the Elimination Chamber recap. Luis, getting in a channel member message here at the last minute. Cena does not win the Elimination Chamber. His time is up. The future's time is now. Very good, Luis. I see what you did there. I still say he wins. We'll find out. See you at the Chamber.